stepping out, but I just wanted to publicly say thank you for sharing her story. I know that that takes a lot of courage and bravery. So thank you for letting me be here today, Representative Steinberg. It's great to see you. Representative Michelle, great to see you also. I'm still waiting on that visit. I have said several times that I would love to have you visit. I know we're texting buddies, so you text me anytime, and I will make time to have you visit our center so you can see what we do. It is clear that I am in vehement opposition to Senate Bill number 144. I also realized that I didn't introduce myself. So I am Adrienne Greto, and I am the Executive Director of Hopeline Pregnancy Centers in Danbury, Bridgeport, and Stamford. And I am also the Secretary on the Connecticut Pregnancy Care Coalition. I had a lot written that I know is going to be shared and has already been shared, and I think that my time is actually better spent sharing factual information and just discussing things that have been shared before. So first, I would like to address a comment that Representative Gilchrist had said. One of the things she mentioned is that Hopeline and Birthright are national organizations. So I just want to be clear, Hopeline is not a national organization. We are specifically local. We are affiliated with a national organization, but Hopeline itself is not. So I just wanted to clear up that misunderstanding. I also really want to address that there are activist groups, and then there are people who are on the ground serving in facilities. So we know that NARAL is an activist, but they are not Planned Parenthood. We know that pregnancy centers are, we offer medical care, but we are not activist groups. So I just want to be mindful that as we're searching and Googling, that we're aware of what we're looking at. Last year, Representative Cook had pulled up a website from the Connecticut Right to Life. They are an activist group. They are not a pregnancy center. So I think it's really important that we're just very clear on what we're looking at, and that you make sure that you're looking at a pregnancy center's page, not specifically an activist group. I also just wanted to share, too, Representative Betts, you had shared that, in your opinion, you would want multiple opinions if you were seeking medical care. So we recently had a client come to our Bridgeport location, and she had said she had gone to Planned Parenthood right behind us, and they had told her that she was miscarrying and that she needed to take the abortion pill immediately. And she left in tears. She was very fearful, and she came to us for a second opinion, and through our trained medical staff, our registered diagnostic medical sonographer that has been cleared by our medical director, she found that that there was a heartbeat, and she in fact was carrying a healthy pregnancy. So just to your point of multiple opinions and good care and accurate information, I just want to be clear that that several points have been made too. I know Representative Summers had shared that maybe across the board would be wiser if we're going to push legislation like this. And I also just wanted to touch on another thing that Liz had just shared. You would want to go to a comprehensive clinic like Planned Parenthood, but I just want to be clear that there's no Planned Parenthood in the state of Connecticut that offers comprehensive care. They do not offer prenatal care. Just like pregnancy centers, we are not an adoption agency, we're not a prenatal clinic, and we are not an abortion provider. So I just want to be clear about that too.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
Yes. Lastly, I just want to say that I'm representing also the Connecticut Pregnancy Care Coalition, and we have 11 centers. So I and the coalition leaders can only speak to those 11 centers. I cannot speak. There has been other centers that have been mentioned that we cannot speak for because they have not joined our coalition. We have a long list of standards that we abide by, and so if you have any questions about what those are, I'm happy for you to ask me. But yeah, so in summary, I am opposed to Senate Bill number 144.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. You made mention of the fact that it's always good to get more than one opinion.
Yeah.
Are you aware of circumstances where somebody went to a center like yours and were referred to a provider that provided more healthcare services than your center provides? So has it ever gone in the other direction, where there's been a referral to somebody who might want to consider an abortion?
That someone has referred someone to us who's interested in abortion?
The other way around was what I was talking about.
That we referred someone for abortion. Okay, so no, and we do not refer, perform, or recommend abortion at any of our centers, and it's on all of our websites for Hopeline.
So in terms of always looking for a second opinion,
yeah,
you would never recommend that somebody seek a second opinion if they were interested in abortion. So how's that consistent with your desire to always have a second opinion?
So I wouldn't recommend it, but I wouldn't prevent someone from choosing to go look at another opinion. I would never stop someone from saying, no, don't. I would never say, you can't go there. You can't go to Planned Parenthood. It is their obligation where they go for care.
But we've heard some feel that they were socially intimidated and told to feel guilty and being told that they were sinning. You don't feel that that would have some impact on people's ability to make an informed decision on their own if they're being pressured in that fashion?
I absolutely feel like that would make someone feel incredibly uncomfortable. And I would be the first to say that I'm really sorry if that happened to someone. That is not how we operate as Hopeline. That is not how members of the Connecticut Pregnancy Care Coalition operate. And if there is someone that has said that to be true of their story, I would personally have a conversation with them. Love to get information about where they went, because that is unacceptable behavior. Absolutely unacceptable.
Well, from everything you shared with us today and in the past, it sounds like your center and some of the other centers that you're affiliated with probably do not behave in the practices that we're concerned about in this bill. And since that would not affect you, why do you continue to oppose it?
Yeah, I think part of it is exactly what Representative Summers was sharing, that we feel like it's very targeted towards pregnancy centers specifically because we don't offer abortion, where we think that it should be across the board. And I'm aware that if this legislation passed, I'm confident that Hopeline would not be penalized. We strongly believe in truthful, ethical practice. I think the other part of my concern is that it's not even across the board, and it's specifically targeting religiously affiliated pregnancy centers. And that's really frustrating to feel part of a target.
I can understand that. Are there other questions or comments? Representative Jenga, followed by Representative Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
You mentioned that it was an error that you're part of a national organization, but you're affiliated with a national organization.
Correct.
Could you explain the difference?
Yeah, so we have a mother organization called CareNet, and we abide by their standards. So Hopeline is just specifically in Fairfield County, but our affiliate, they help us with medical standards. They help us with training our board, with how to train staff, a wide range of things they help train us with, and writing job description, for our specific needs in the center. So that's the reason why we have that affiliate. There are a couple across the country, but they're specifically one of ours. And so Hopeline is just in Fairfield County, and our affiliate is national. Sure.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Adrian, for testifying today. I was wondering, do you recall last year's public hearing? At one point, Hopeline was mentioned for some deceptive advertising online. And I don't know if you recall, but during the public hearing, we found some things that seemed deceptive to us. And I think it was a conversation where during the public hearing, the website was changed its wording. Did you recall that?
I know what you're speaking of, but it actually wasn't changed during the public hearing. It would not be possible because we have an organization or a company that runs our website. It would take lots of time. What I do recall is that Sarah Croucher, in her testimony, took a snapshot, and I actually addressed this in my public testimony last year. She took a snapshot of our website and failed to include the next paragraph down that shares the truth about what we do. So that is what I believe you are referring to. Across all of our literature and website, it says that we do not refer.
And do you recall there were, I found myself a flyer from CareNet.
Okay, I'm not the CareNet Center.
No.
We're affiliated with CareNet, the national organization, but I'm not we're Hopeline.
All right. Well, so this again, just to repeat the good words of our chair, this is only targeting centers who would be doing deceptive. And if you're not, then you're obviously not target from the bill.
I think the concern is that we're not the target of the bill, but because there's no specificity, the Attorney General could decide, well, I think this is deceptive today, and do you understand? Like, there's no clarification to what deception is. Also, I would love to see the literature that you're referring to. If you could show me that, I'd be happy to have a conversation and bring in the executive director of that center. I just can't speak to something that I don't see.
Okay. Just for the record, I'll just read the Hope Line thing from last year. Someone experiencing an unplanned pregnancy has multiple options, including abortion, adoption, and parenting. If you're considering any of these three, please schedule an appointment today to talk with our caring staff to get the information you need to make an informed decision.
Did you scroll down?
I
Keep
remember
scrolling.
doing this last year. But, so do you...
I can show you, we can have an aside, and I can show you exactly on the website where it specifies that we do not refer or perform abortions. I'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay, so then you have two conflicting texts on the same page. Is that correct?
That's not conflicting. It says we'll give you the information. It doesn't say we will provide you with an abortion. It doesn't say we'll provide you with an adoption. It doesn't say we'll provide you prenatal care. It's saying we'll provide you with the information.
Right. So for the sake of time, I'll stop there. Thank you for testifying. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other questions? Representative Candelara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your testimony. And I'm trying to sort of unpeel this onion a little bit. For your centers, I'm sure you have different levels of people that volunteer or work for your services. Are there certain standards of review when you hire? Like, what is that process like?
Yeah, so first of all, if we're speaking about medical professionals, we have an amazing medical director, Dr. Foy, and he has incredibly high standards. For example, to do ultrasounds, he only will allow a registered diagnostic medical sonographer. His standards are so high that he doesn't want a nurse who's trained in sonography. He specifically wants someone who's gone to school for years for ultrasound. So you have to, if we're hiring for medical, you have to have an active license. I myself, because I started working for Hope Line, I went to an accredited school to get my nursing assistant license. So I have a license in the state of Connecticut to be a nursing assistant. So as far as medical standards, our doctor has very high standards about who we hire, who even volunteers in our center. We have a vetting process. We have an application. We call references. We have an interview. So it's very detailed as far as who we let in our centers. We care about women, and we want to make sure that they're getting good care and accurate information.
And I guess because I know originally when this bill, again, was brought before us, the discussion was around the deception of advertising. Mm-hmm. So I'm envisioning the sign on the door, information possibly on a website.
Sure.
And there's this notion that people are going in there and then being provided with a particular type of service. And it seems to me, and I think where the opposition for this bill comes into play, aside from the fact it's giving the Attorney General a lot of discretion, but the dialogue seems to be potentially that you would have an obligation to offer a service or provide a service that you don't necessarily agree with, and that being an abortion.
Yeah.
And then I start thinking about, if I'm going to a particular doctor, say I had this happen where I might need to see a dermatologist. Well, the issue could also be handled by a podiatrist. So my doctor had referred me to a dermatologist. I made the decision when I left there, I'm going to call a podiatrist to take care of the issue. And that's the route I went. So it seems where this bill is going, and would you agree with this? If we're going to mandate what you provide, I mean, is this a discussion where we should be telling a doctor that I should be given all my options? So I should be offered a podiatrist and a dermatologist, or an optometrist, or an ophthalmologist, and where would you fall on that? I mean, how do we reconcile that?
Yeah, I think when I think about this legislation, it's again clearly targeted towards centers who don't believe, who don't refer for abortion, we are pro-life centers, and so, but no one's complaining that we're not offering prenatal care. They're just upset that we're not offering an abortion. No one's complaining that we're not an adoption agency and facilitating adoptions. It's very clear what this is very specific to. And so although we know that this legislation isn't talking about abortion, right? We're not talking about overturning Roe v. Wade. It's clear that that's the agenda behind this type of legislation.
So how does a patient typically find your center?
Yeah, so our biggest referral is word of mouth. Our biggest way that people find us is because we've had a client and they've shared with their family and friends. And so I think that's a beautiful testament to the way that we operate and the way that we serve. We do run statistics annually to see how people find us. And so the number one way is word of mouth. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon.
Any other questions? If not, again, good to see you. Thank you for your time today.
Can't wait for you to visit.
All right.